Good evening and welcome back to another episode of The Longing. Today we are going to be continuing to read the Iliad. So, let's get going. He said, Patroclus, o'er the blazing fire, heaps in a brazen vase 3 chines entire. The brazen vase Automedon sustains, which flesh of porker, sheep, and goat contains. Achilles at the genial feast presides, the parts transfixes, and with skill divides. Meanwhile Patroclus sweats the fire to raise. The tent is brightened with the rising blaze. Then when the languid flames at length subside, he strows a bed of glowing embers wide. Above the coals the smoking fragments turns, and sprinkles sacred salt from lifted urns. With bread the glittering canisters they load, which round the board Menoetus' son bestowed. Himself opposed to Ulysses full in sight, each portion parts and orders every rite. The first fat offering to the immortals due, amidst the greedy flames Patroclus through. Then each indulging in the social feast, his thirst and hunger soberly repressed. That done, to Phoenix Ajax gave the sign, not unperceived Ulysses crowned with wine. The foaming bowl an instant thus began, his speech addressing to the godlike man. Health to Achilles, happy are thy guests, not those more honoured whom Atrides feasts. Though generous plenty crown thy loaded boards, that Agamemnon's regal tent affords, but greater cares sit heavy on our souls, nor erased by banquets or by flowing bowls. What scenes of slaughter in yon fields appear? The dead we mourn, and for the living fear. Greece on the brink of fate all doubtful stands, and owns no help but from thy saving hands. Troy and her aids for ready vengeance call, their threatening tents already shade our wall. Hear how with shouts their conquest they proclaim, and point at every ship their vengeful flame. For them the Father of the gods declares, theirs are his omens and his thunder theirs. See, full of Jove, avenging Hector rise, see, heaven and earth the raging chief defies. What fury in his breast, what lightning in his eyes! He waits but for the morn to sink in the flame, the ships, the Greeks, and all the Grecian name. Heavens, how my country's woes distract my mind, lest fate accomplish all his rage designed. And must we gods our heads inglorious lay in Trojan dust, and this the fatal day? Return, Achilles, O return though late, to save thy Greeks and stop the course of fate. If in that heart or grief or courage lies, rise to redeem, our yet to conquer rise. The day may come when all our warriors slain, that heart shall melt, that courage rise in vain. Regard in time, O Prince divinely brave, those wholesome counsels which thy father gave. When Peleus in his aged arms embraced his parting son, these accents were his last. My child, with strength, with glory and success, thy arms may Juno and Minerva bless. Trust that to heaven, but thou thy cares engage, to calm thy passions and subdue thy rage. From gentler manners that let thy glory grow, and shun contention the sure source of woe. That young and old may in thy praise combine, the virtues of humanity be thine. This now despised advice thy father gave. Ah, check thy anger and be truly brave. If thou wilt yield to great Atrides' prayers, gifts worthy thee his royal hand prepares. If not, but hear me, while I number o'er the proffered presents an exhaustless store, 10 weighty talents of the purest gold, and twice 10 vases of refulgent mould, 7 sacred tripods whose unsullied frame yet knows no office, nor has felt the flame, 12 steeds unmatched in fleetness and in force, and still victorious in the dusty course. Rich were the man whose ample stores exceed the prizes purchased by their winged speed. 7 lovely captives of the Lesbian line, skilled in each art, unmatched in form divine. The same he chose for more than vulgar charms, when Lesbos sank beneath thy conquering arms. All these to buy thy friendship shall be paid, and joined with these the long contested maid. With all her charms Brises he'll resign, and solemn swear those charms were only thine. Untouched she stayed, uninjured she removes, pure from his arms and guiltless of the loves. These instants shall be thine, and if the powers give to our arms proud Ilion's hostile towers, then shalt thou store, when Greece the spoil divides, with gold and brass thy loaded navy sides. Besides, full 20 nymphs of Trojan race, with copious love shall crown thy warm embrace, such as thyself shall such as thyself shall chose, who yield to none, or yield to Helen's heavenly charms alone. Yet hear me further when our wars are o'er, if safe we land on Argos' fruitful shore. There shalt thou live, his son his honour share, and with Orestes' self divide his care. Yet more 3 daughters in his court are bred, and each well worthy of a royal bed. I'm sure I've read this. Laodice and Iphigenia fair, and bright Chrysothemis with golden hair. Her shalt thou wed, with whom most thy eyes approve. He asks no presents, no reward for love. Himself will give the dower so vast a store, as never father gave a child before. 7 ample cities shall confess thy sway, the Enope and Pheré thee obey. Cardamile with ample turrets crowned, and sacred Pedasus for vines renowned. Sapere fair the pastures Hera yields, and rich Anthea with her flowery fields. The whole extent to Pylos' sandy plain, along the verdant margin of the main. There heifers graze and labouring oxen toil, bold are the men and generous is the soil. There shalt thou reign with power and justice crowned, and rule the tributary realms around. Such are the proffers which this day we bring, such the repentance of a suppliant king. But if all this relentless thou disdain, if honour and if interest plead in vain, yet some redress to suppliant Greece afford, and be amongst her guardian gods adored. If no regard thy suffering country claim, hear thy own glory and the voice of fame. For now that chief whose unresisted ire made nations tremble and whole hosts retire, proud Hector now the unequal fight demands, and only triumphs to deserve thy hands. I'm not going to start the next one because I have no idea if it's going to be longer than the next page, and we are pretty much at the end of the episode. I'm pretty sure we've read that last part before, or at least the majority of it. I'm fairly sure someone else mentioned it early, like even just a couple of pages before. So I'm wondering if it's just them echoing the same and then it being the wise advice or something. I'm not sure, to be honest. But either way, we are at the end of the episode. So I will, as always, say my usual goodbyes. So, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon or night. No matter what time of day it is, I hope you all have a wonderful one of it. And as always, we will be back tomorrow for more of The Longing. Goodbye.